Hey guys, and welcome back. This is the second match in tonight's series with UWM and UIC playing tonight for a chance to be in the Midwest Esports Conference Finals. Should be a really exciting match. UIC taking that first match away from UWM. Are they going to be able to take it back? Hello, I'm Aaron Yoder, here with my co-casters. Introduce yourself, guys.
Yep, coming around. My name is Jacob Basket O Knives, and I'm joining you all for Game 2 and possibly Game 3 if we get ourselves a series.
I really hope so.
I am Alex Caster, and I will be right back for 1 second because I need some water. I'm sorry about that. But hopefully we get another epic game in this Game 2, am I right? Because Game 1 was pretty good.
It should be super cool. I'm really excited. Also, no, we don't want that throat cracking, so you get into the kitchen and get yourself some water. Looking at the bands, though, we do have Zaya and Tristana and Caitlyn being banned away from Where is Osama. UWM is not messing around.
Yeah, that triple AD carry ban, they're really trying to focus on Where's Osama's pool, and they might even look to try to even pick away an AD carry here in this first round.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. We could either see, honestly, Varus or Jin going over to them. Oh, Kaisa being banned away from UWM, too.
So we'll see who the first pick is here. And
yeah,
you're right, the Varus does come through, so we'll see if Chicago responds with a pick. It looks like they are messing around. They are looking at that. They've still got a lot of AD carries to pick from, but they have taken away a lot of those power picks.
Yeah, they're really not. And ADC is such a highly contested role in this particular match, just because of the amount of power that Where's Osama has been commanding. In past games, I know these teams have both done their research and both obviously looked at, where are the powerhouses on these teams. AD carry is kind of where it's at for both of these. So.
Yep, and they do pick that support up for that first pick for Teddy Eddy as the Braum, and we'll see what they end up picking up here for I Love Thighs here on that second pick.
He's shown up on a lot of junglers, and I think that he would do really well. Oh, wow. All right. Well, there is an Ezreal being picked up for the side of UIC. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah, so it could be flexed into the jungle, mid, or bottom lane. I'm predicting they're going to go with that bottom lane to try to match it before they end up pinching that AD carry pool even further in the second round.
I wouldn't doubt that at all. Although, yeah, because I Love Thighs primarily a tank jungler, so it'd be interesting to see him play something like the Ezreal. We'll have to see how that plans out, though. Karma being picked up. Another one of those flex picks.
Yeah, curious to see if that'll go mid or support. They can utilize that as a little bit of leverage here going into the second round, depending on what they do for their third and final pick of the first phase. Here, Wisconsin looking to see what they'll pick as their final pick. They pick the Kennen. All right, they do pick the Kennen. That is likely going top lane. However, that is another potential but unlikely flex pick to the mid lane. I would guess it is going to be Kennen top. And most likely, I'm going to gander that that's going to be a Karma support.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. This Kennen actually didn't make it through last round, was banned out in the final stages. Most likely, if you're correct, honestly, probably away from Mike. So if he's able to be commanding on that one, it should be a very exciting matchup in that top side. Cassiopeia being picked up for Tadungi really loves these mana builders in the mid lane.
Yeah, and very interesting now. So now most teams both of them have picked their bottom lane, potentially, if you consider the Karma, and a mid/top lane. So we're going to see here what champion pool they pinch first. Is it going to be the jungle? Oh, so they're looking at that support ban with that Alistar. They are betting that Karma is going to be a mid lane Karma versus a support Karma. We'll see if that bet does pay off.
Yeah, Imperial and Trinity plays primarily engaged supports, so closing off that Alistar option was a pretty good pick if it is indeed
well, no, I'm just mad.
Defisty one that's going to be picking up that Karma. Ooh, all right, Zach being banned away, and Sejuani also being banned out.
and the Reddington Band to finish it off. So we got a couple junglers and top laner support in that second phase. Let's see where's Osama ends up picking for either his jungler or top laner. We'll see which one they go with first. I'm going to gander that it's going to be their jungler, and they'll save their top laner for that counter pick.
Ooh, yeah, there's the Skarner pick. There we go, tossing that one out there. Going to go on to I Love Thighs. Rushing in there, picking off people, and dragging them back to his team. It's a nice, tasty snack.
Well, if there's one thing we know about Skarner, he does love grabbing at people, so he probably loves grabbing the thighs to pull them in. So definitely fits with what's going on.
Man, everybody knew he was a nasty boy. All right, let's see. Pokemon is really taking a dark turn. Oh, wow, okay, so that is going to be a Karma support. I guess the Fisty one is going to end up taking Zed? Unless, and this is a bold prediction, Imperial Trinity playing the first ever support Zed.
I would say a gainer that's going to be Zed mid. That can snowball pretty hard against the Cassiopeia. However, they do have to watch out for that poison trail that can be laid down to prevent him from utilizing his abilities. But they do pick the Olaf. That is the counter pick, the preliminary counter pick into the Skarner, given the fact that you both have strong early games and you can utilize that ult not to get crowd controlled, which is actually great against this entire team lineup they have, the Braum, Cassiopeia, and Skarner. It's a great backline diver there.
Right, exactly.
Hopefully the Johnson can pull his way in the jungle this, or actually it was it was jungler that was up 100 CS last game, right?
Yeah,
so
it was, yeah, you're right, it was. Right,
so Johnson's
exactly.
on Olaf again, so if they, he might be able to do a lot in the jungle this game if he doesn't farm a lot, because I feel like last game the Trundle had a lot more ganks than the Olaf, so Olaf can terrorize the lanes a bit more and get that Zed rolling, especially with the Kennen, because it's going to be hard to group against him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For big objectives and whatnot.
Yep, so we got about 3 minutes before we end up getting into the match. However, we suddenly had a DC. Never mind, the plot thickens. 2 people of UIC have left the building. Let's see what's going on here.
It's that rage quit.
Yeah, they must have been scared. I don't know what's going on, but blame the internet.
I think they saw the Johnson, and they were like, nope, not dealing with that again.
This is Swain misclick.
Gotcha, okay.
It's kind of a surprise that it's misclick, though, because Swain is, well, pretty damn broken right now.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Well, we will be hearing shortly what is going on with that. Looks like there's a little bit of rearranging coming around, so we will fill you in. Let's see. So same picks going into it, though. They're going to have to redo that portion of the match.
Yep, so still going into that, though, so matchup-wise, so you'll have Kennen versus Sion, apparently, in the top lane, Olaf versus Skarner in the jungle, Zed versus Cassiopeia in the mid lane, and then following it in the bottom lane with Varus and Karma versus the Ezreal Braum. So let's take a little bit of time here at the moment where we're just going to break down a little bit of what these picks mean and kind of where we can see the perceived advantages between the 2 teams. Alex, what are your thoughts on that top lane matchup, that Kennen versus Sion?
Kennen has a lot of potential to get a huge CS lead because it is ranged versus melee matchup. But the thing about Sion that kind of differs between most melee matchups is he could just max his E and just constantly poke you down with his E. So if the Gnar ends up going damage early, he could end up getting poked out. And the way Sion scales, especially if he ends up CSing well, really tanky, really fast. So it might be pretty hard for the Kennen to take him down if he doesn't, before like level 6. So if the Kennen doesn't get rolling, then I don't think we're going to see much out of the top lane aside from just power farming. I think there's a lot of potential for the Johnson to pop off on this Olaf again, get a big CS lead, and more ganks off. And I think what the 2 teams are... I think Wisconsin, right? They have a lot of winning matchups, but the difference between what they have is between what UIC had is when UIC picked winning matchups, they also had a lot of utility in their matchups. So later in the game, they would also have a really good team fight. But I think picking Zed is they're gonna have to rely on like more of like a 1-3-1 or like a 4-1 split, so that Zed could like be alone in like a 1v1 situation or one situation, but he like comes in from the side for a flank. So it's like, a lot more chaos for UIC to peel that Zed off of the ADC or the mid laner. Yeah. I think there's a lot of potential again for Wisconsin to make big plays, but I think as the game's going to progress, aside from maybe Ezreal not being the strongest late game ADC, I think UIC might have the late game, but like I said, there's a lot of potential for the early game on Wisconsin's side and plays to be made, but we'll see if those plays will be made.
So, how much value should we be putting on the Olaf pick from the Johnson? How much value do you think that that has in context?
So the Olaf pick is going to add a lot of great power solely based on what they have picked. So now that they have, instead of the Swain, they have got the Scion. They've got the Scion, the Skarner, the Cassiopeia, and the Braum. And this Ezreal also might end up going Iceborne Gauntlet as well. So what that's going to mean then is that you have essentially 5 champions that can do some form of CC. And so therefore, as Olaf, you can just pop that ultimate, that Ragnarok, and just run straight at the Cassiopeia.
Yeah, and I guess with the small-ish amount of damage that, or at least by comparison to other ADCs, right, that Ezreal is going to be doing to an Olaf, it's probably not as dangerous. I think where I'm kind of wondering what the thought was behind the pick is they don't have anything to add to the Olaf, right? Because Olaf, if he builds more damage, right, could be something
going in with that Ragnarok,
right?
Would be difficult in the team fight because you'd get popped, and then if you build tank but you have no follow-up, you might lack the damage.
Exactly, and no one really to come in. That's where I was kind of wondering why not go
no compliment
the
for
Galio
the Olaf
mid again? Well, I mean, like, why not go for the Galio again, right? Why not go for something that would enable or even like an Orianna or something, right? That you could throw on top of the Olaf that would go in, and you would catch a few of them into the CC with
speed them up into an ult. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So what my thoughts are for that is to play kind of the counter argument of where I think their heads are at. So they have this Olaf, Karma, Zed, and Kennen.
Yeah.
So if you think about that from a flanking perspective, you have the Karma in power with her mantra and her shield, her Inspire, on the Olaf. Yeah. Olaf runs in, pops Ragnarok. They're in the middle of somewhere. Kennen flashes in and pulls down the Slicing Maelstrom. Zed also comes in, death marks whoever Olaf is trying to get on. I think their goal is just pick off the Cassiopeia or the Kennen, just pick off the primary damage dealer. Just 100-0 somebody, and then as soon as they're all CC'd and all clustered in a fight, Varus ults them, and then they can keep going from there. So they have a lot of potential with a good team fight pick on the initiation from the Olaf. The problem is, if the Olaf jumps in too early and the team is not coordinated, then their team fight will likely fall apart. So that's going to be the balance that they have to find on the side of Wisconsin, is can they find the right team fight to win that match? But we are back into the draft. It should be just about the same picks and bans with respect of the Scion for the side of UIC. So we'll let them just burn through this really quickly.
Let me get in there.
I do find it interesting that UWM is picking yet again this Ren Atom comp, right? And UIC is picking the disengage comp in away from that. So it's just now they've got a faster run out of comp because you've got the Karma to let them get in. I just find it kind of interesting that they're going with a similar tactic.
I mean, they're certainly putting a lot of faith in the Johnson to be able to get ahead and stay ahead just due to the nature of where their composition is going and what they're trying to, at least what we perceive their focus
And
will be on.
he did a great job of doing that last time. I don't think he had the lane presence that they were hoping he would, but maybe that'll change this game. His lanes last time weren't necessarily in a great position for him to be able to pull off a lot of ganks. And so maybe that seems like it comes down to communication. Maybe they'll be able to shore that up this game, because that's the only way that they're really going to be able to, like, personally, I think that's the only way that they're going to be
Sion
able
locked in, so that is confirmed with what they're going to go with as that top lane pick.
Yeah. Which I do think that there's so much value in Sion pick. Like, that is brilliant.
No, I'm just mad.
Yeah, having a hyper tank that just doesn't die is very obnoxious to deal with, especially when he builds certain CDR items that just make him way more tankier, and then he's just spamming abilities. He's got you locked up forever. Carry's just whacking you down, and you're done.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and then I mean, so what I'm imagining with that is that Olaf runs in, pops somebody. At some point, Sion dies and just continues beating down members of UWM with his full corpse.
Yeah. Well, something that's actually kind of underrated for more crowd control on Sion is once you are very tanky and you are like maybe 2-3 items in, that Iceborne Gauntlet, when you're heavy armor, extra brutal layer of CC where it feels unescapable.
Right. Oh man,
It's
like running around
such
with
a bigger radius too.
Yeah, you're right. Now,
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get ourselves back into this game. Game number 2, University of Wisconsin-Madison versus the University of Illinois in Chicago. Game 2, Chicago is up 1-0. Shout out those predictions inside that Twitch chat. Let us know what you're thinking, and feel free to ask any questions that you have throughout that game, and we will go ahead and we will take care of it.
Yep. Oh man, I'm so excited.
So we got about 3 minutes here, so going through here. So another thing that we can talk about here, if you notice the Cassiopeia with now the barrier versus the cleanse, she did have the cleanse initially set up, and so with that change over to barrier, she's making that adaptation to see why, to be able to stop the Zed from being able to just insanely pop her. Originally she was running that cleanse, but honestly with the lack of dedicated and hard CC on the side of Wisconsin, that barrier will likely play more dividends, and depending on if she's running Unsealed Spellbook or Phase Rush, or maybe even Airy, that might even differentiate more.
Yeah, especially going into a Zed, I would hope that they'd be running the Unsealed Spellbook. That way, if things go poorly, right? So if you get to the late game and Kennen starts diving on top, and then you've got the Varus ultimate on top of that, those 2 points of CC, if any of those land, Cassiopeia is going to be in trouble. And so if they decide to go with that Unsealed Spellbook, they can transition this barrier into that cleanse, which I think will offer a lot more value overall than a barrier will late game, especially against Zed with the Ignite and Karma with the Ignite. Like,
She might also just be trying to take the barrier for the early game because she could get that tier, finish up that Seraphs, and by the time she get the Archangels, and then by the time she pops it into the Seraph's Embrace, then she can switch it out, have the barrier from the Seraph's Embrace, and also have the cleanse switched out, or teleport if they need more map pressure, whatever options they really may need.
And I mean, there's effectively
They're really versatile with it.
1/2 HP shield, so that's not a bad idea either. I mean, they did recently buff Ignite, and that's the one reason that I would be a little bit wary about.
They also nerfed the Seraph shield a little bit.
Well, that's the reason I'd be wary about taking barrier without being able to transition that into something else,
Yeah, but we'll find out here in about 35 seconds here with if it is Unsealed Spellbook Cassiopeia or if it is something else entirely. Curious to find out for myself. They did also nerf heal, so that's one of the reasons why you are likely not seeing that on many mid laners anymore, is due to the buffs to ignite and the nerfs to heal. But getting into the game here in about 15 seconds, we do have University of Wisconsin-Madison versus University of Illinois Chicago. Game number 2, Chicago is up 1-0. They were looking to close out this series and meet Ohio State in the finals, but Wisconsin is trying to fight back and see if they can force a game 3.
Yeah, it should be, guys. Also, sorry, worth bringing up since we were talking about Keystone Masters, right? Do you think it's gonna be we're gonna see a Kleptomancy Ezreal?
For sure.
Is that
Definitely.
what they're probably gonna end up picking? All right.
100%.
Yeah, although it got nerfed, I feel like they're not going to try to play through their bottom. They're going to just, they picked a bottom lane with the Braum and the Ezreal to just say, hey, we'll be annoying, we won't die, and we'll let the rest of our lanes get fed. We do indeed have the Kleptomancy and the Phase Rush on the Cassiopeia.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like she doesn't want to take the utility, or she's going to take a different form of utility. Say, but I think the teams have honestly a pretty solid late game, so it's honestly anyone's game. Unlike last game where the win condition for Chicago was pretty much hit late game, have that Xayah pop off. Are pretty balanced. Both teams have a lot of potential for. Really just going to come down to who CS is better in lane, plays, and what happens in these team fights.
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this game actually comes down to which jungler is showing up more in lane.
Yeah, absolutely, but we are in the game here, ladies and gentlemen. Coming in, we've got Wisconsin on the blue side, Chicago on the red side. Getting in here, the game is starting, the emotes are flashing, and we are off to the races here. Pings are going out, heading towards that bottom side for Wisconsin, and we're going to see what we get out of here. Well, we do have the Skarner and Sion heading towards that top lane.
Yeah, looks like they're going for your 5-point start with the added bonus of trying to pick up one of these spires, give themselves a little bit of that 15 gold action. Throw that over into their pocket.
First ward is down.
A little disrespect coming out in the bot lane.
Everybody remember that ward. It's going to be there until it dies. It's going to be a sad moment. R.I.P. Mr. Ward.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on though. I mean, it's really just teams trying to make sure that they're able to spot out members where they can, prevent ganks from happening. Mostly a trade of information. I think now that UIC has seen enough members on the top side, they're gonna seen Kennen alone on the top side. They're gonna assume that. They're going to assume that Johnson's starting his red.
Now, one thing, though, they might have been able to outplay, though, is if you notice, I Love Thighs did go and get that Spire on the top side of the map, so they might be thinking a little bit of that Skarner just doing that red by himself. However, it's most likely not the case since the bot lane was late as well. That might be a bit of the mind games that they are playing. We'll see if that does pay off.
Already, it's even looking at the mid lane, the amount of health that's standing there. So Tadungi doing a lot of work on the 51. Saying his name always, it's gonna make me laugh every single time. But no, I mean the amount of damage that he's able to do to 51 every single time he walks up to take a little bit of CS. This is where I've got some confidence in this Cassiopeia pick, being able to shut down the early gold gain from the Zed early, I think that there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she can
absolutely.
end up getting a Seekers before Zed gets a Dirk. It's gonna be really tough for the Zed.
Ooh.
And you see both of those keystones, that Phase Rush and Electrocute, paying off pretty heavily for both of them right now. We also do have an invade going on in that top side. Looks like Olaf is trying to pick them out. And pings are dropping mid lane. We'll see if anything happens here.
Yeah, the Johnson looking for a little bit of action. It looks like they're going to end up forcing the flash on the Noogie, goes over the wall, gets himself out, but that is a flashless Cassiopeia in the mid lane.
And we'll see if that ends up paying off later. They do have the timer on that, so we'll see if they continue to use that. Cassiopeia without flash is pretty vulnerable, especially 3-6 to the Zed, who can just jump right in with that Living Shadow.
Give Zed a little bit of breathing room to make up for this 10 CS deficit, 12 CS now.
Oh, but it looks like the Johnson's coming in again. All right, Tadungi throws the W backwards. There's the phase rush activation, gets himself back underneath the turret, isn't able to pull off a return gank, but yeah, you guys were just talking about whether or not they'd be able to pay off. It doesn't, I mean, they've still got time. That flash is still down, but I'm surprised Tadungi made that out of there alive.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like... Oh, finishing off, might be jumping in here. Oh, outplays the first blood, goes to the side of Chicago, but there is the retribution kill with that ignite. So Summoner's blown mid lane, but it looks like Chicago does come up in regards to gold. However, they are down one Summoner spell.
I think it was a little bit of a good trade for the Zed because at the end of the day, she is going to miss a lot of EXP, I believe. Yeah, she's pretty close to hitting level 5, and Zed is level 5, so EXP
There's
trade.
a lot more, yeah, exactly. And there's a lot more utility that he can get from, or not utility, there's a lot more combat stats he can get from any one of his items that he's going to pick up, whereas that's not really the case for Tadungi on the Cassiopeia.
True.
A lot of poke going down this bot lane. They are hitting Where's Osama down pretty low.
Johnson trying to at least cover for his laner. So now that I Love Thighs and team has seen the Johnson show on the top side, they may be able to get some work done on this bot side if I Love Thighs can get down here in time.
Notice how he does have the boot, so he can proc that Predator. It looks like he is searching for maybe that gank. You might see that Braum jump in with that stand behind. Looks like they're going in. They proc that heal. Predator is there. The 3, maybe 4 hits onto Emerald Plastic, but does not work out. They do end up getting away, blowing the flash and heal from Emerald Plastic.
The powered shield from the Karma.
The plus on top of that, I Love Thighs actually missing that E. Wasn't able to slow down Emerald Plastic, and therefore wasn't able to get the stun onto him. Ooh. Alright, in the top lane, that is an ultimate use for CN Delta. Some friendly enemy missing things will let him know that he could have done better.
Gank attempt number 2 does not seem to amount to anything, but note that now Defeasty is level 6, and Tadungi is still level 5, so it is a little bit of that trade-off there. It looks like she just hit level 6.
Oh, there's the Ignite. Being thrown down there from Imperial Trinity will actually end up and spelling the end for Where's Osama. That was a really brilliant play from Imperial Trinity. Blows both summoners for the kill there.
Yep, unfortunately, the Braum shield, the stand behind, does not block Ignites.
Right. I mean, the true damage tick there, like, it was good. It was a good idea for Teddy Eddie to jump onto Where's Osama to try to, like, because you get an increased magic resist and defense with that. But since Ignite is true damage, it's not going to actually do anything helpful for Where's Osama.
Yep, and Ezreal does now have the tier, so a tier and a cull, so both the mid and the bottom laner for UIC just trying to stack up for a little bit of those later stats.
Alright, and successful ward kill. Therefore, I Love Thighs a hard-fought battle, but it finally pays off in the end.
Yeah, however, one thing though you have to note though is Tadungi is about 20 CS now over Defeasty there in the mid lane. So even though they are matched in kills, there is that extra gold that is going the way of UIC. However, in the bottom lane, you've got about 15 or 16 CS on the side of Emerald Plastic versus where is Osama.
Right, on top of that, he's also sitting on that assist, just helping him out with a little bit gold there. So has what looks at the makings of a Ginsu's first. Interesting order on the item pickups, but ooh, alright. Looks like this could turn into, there we go, an extended trade in the top lane turns into a fight. ZN Delta could be in trouble here, flashes away but does nothing for himself. There is Mike picking up a kill there in the top lane for UWM. Oh.
I think that kind of came down to him greeting for a Righteous Glory first item instead of opting for Magic Resist.
Oh, but the execution coming in from the Olaf. The Johnson does finish it off with those brutal strikes. However, that Defeasty just got a little bit too greedy there, jumping in there. Was able to ignore the CC from the Petrifying Gaze, but that barrier still come in really clutch for Tadungi in order to save her life more times than not.
Yeah, that actually is offering a lot more value than what I was originally anticipating. So Tadungi showing up really, really well with the Cassiopeia today.
And building towards that Rod of Ages already has both components for it, so looking to finish that off very soon. That'll be another great scaling item for the Cassio.
Yeah, even just looking at item difference between the two, the amount of value of those two items plus the tier has for Tadungi means a lot. Oh, it looks like this dot tower though taking a lot of damage.
One thing though that I'm noting right now, and I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this, it looks like Kennen is going for that AD build. So it's going to be essentially a team that's entirely AD damage. But we're getting back to that. We do have an alt flash by I Love Thighs jumping in to finish off Emerald Plastic. And they do successfully finish it off. Will they get Imperial Trinity? It looks like they will indeed. Double kill goes over to Osama. He got revenge for dying to that Ignite earlier.
Yeah, there we go. That's
Also, at the same time, to Dungi, right? He also picked up a solo kill mid lane on the Zed during that bot lane engage.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah, he's really able to show up on that that Cassiopeia. It's just got so much value because from far away, Defisty's trying to get in, but if he's not able to get close enough fast enough, Dungi's just going to be able to kite him out.
But what were you saying about wanted to hear our opinions on what before that fight started? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it looks like first that they ended up getting that Mountain Drake, so that will help them out with continued objective push. But if you notice, you've got the recurve bow and the Bilgewater Cutlass out of the Kennen, so it looks like he's going for that Blade of the Ruined King build. So we'll likely see a full AD Kennen, which means you have an entire team besides the Karma support that is dedicated as AD damage. So that's going to just be really interesting to see if that itemizes well, because you're very limiting now in your damage. They can stack armor. And this team is pretty dang tanky with the Scion, Skarner, and Braum, where if you just build armor, they can frontline for that Ezreal and Cassiopeia, and that might be able to still win them the game.
To make Scion and Braum's life very easy, just straight up build armor items like you said. I mean, kind of makes it a little more difficult for his team, but image and maybe he's going like a an on-hit build where maybe he gets like Rage Blade later or something. Hopefully he doesn't go full AD because just like you said, that's just gonna make the tanks for Chicago
yeah, it will indeed make the tanks for Chicago incredibly happy. And we'll see what happens. So it looks like ZN Delta is getting a little bit tankier. However, Wisconsin does go and get that Rift Herald, so they might try to utilize that to push at maybe this top lane or this mid lane to grab that first tower to make up for the lost ground they had with that double kill down in bot lane and that first dragon going over to UIC.
Yeah, picking up tower first would definitely be worth it for them. Oh, Defisti1's in a little bit of trouble there, though. And getting chased out of the lane from Tadungi. Looks like the Johnson is prepared for a gank here in the top side. ZN Delta, unaware of what's going on, charges in onto Mike. Mike being dropped pretty low, uses the flash to get out. ZN Delta now here in a little bit of trouble. The Johnson coming in, runs through the brush. Can he pick him up? Axe after axe being tossed into ZN Delta. He's not able to land that commanding shout onto Mike, but he's going to run at him super angry. And yeah, that spells the end of that game.
I'm guessing they're going to pop the Rift Trail top. They do pop the Rift Trail top. The Varus corrupting chains do go out. It's not enough to save the bottom lane, but it might be enough to secure Wisconsin that first tower.
I think you might be right.
Wisconsin's Chicago's going to have to be that
tower
one first. Or second. Sorry, keep talking. You're good.
So it looks like Wisconsin did get that first tower. However, Chicago might be rewarded with 2 towers in both the mid and bottom lane to make up for that.
Yeah, if they can organize some sort of push, they'll actually be able to take that one out. The Rift Herald on the top side pretty healthy, though. ZN Delta's going to have to deal with that one solo.
Looks like the Johnson is looking to steal that red buff right out from I Love Thighs' nose. He loves thighs, he doesn't love noses, so he's not looking down there for it.
Ooh, I Love Thighs, though, was able to sniff out pretty decent red buff for himself there.
Yeah, surprised that the Johnson did not expend that smite just to be able to secure that buff. I think that's a total misplay on his part.
Yeah, you think he would have been I tried to toss that one out. He only had about 60 health left, so he could have tossed out the smite and pulled that up for himself. But
yeah, either that or the reckless swing just to get that extra 2 damage off to execute. And we do have a swap in here, so now where's Osama and Teddy Eddie are in the top, and it looks like they are looking to gank Mike. Mike is trying his damnedest to survive, but the exhaust comes on out, and they finish him off. Where's Osama? There is Osama.
yeah, Slicing Maelstrom not able to do a whole lot there. It seems like Mike is still going for the split push, even though the lane was pushed pretty far forward. Ooh, Tadungi could be in a little bit of trouble here. There's the Zedal comes out, lands on Tadungi. A lot of damage, and the ultimate from Tadungi will end up actually spelling Imperial Trinity, and no kill goes over to Defisti, but ZN Delta, like a train, comes in from the side, pops Defisti1, and picks up another kill. That is 2 for 1 overall for the side of Chicago.
Yep, I Love Thighs delivered him straight into the train that is ZN Delta. Looks like they're trying to hold off this top lane push and this mid lane push as well, but it does not look like they'll be able to do that successfully.
Mid lane turret is definitely going down. There's not a whole lot they can do about that. Ooh, the Johnson coming in from the backside, though. There is Emerald going down to where is Osama and Teddy Eddie, but now they're forced to kite backwards as the Unstoppable is popped from the Johnson. Ragnaroking his way through. The axe will end up spelling the Ed for where's Osama, though. Teddy Eddie getting out with his life with a flash over the wall.
Johnson is really pulling his weight in the game 2 with his CS lead on the Olaf. He only had 1,300 gold above the Skarner, but now he's pulling like 1,600 gold above him after that, whereas Osama shut down, so pretty good for him. Osama's up a couple thousand gold with that turret he took bot lane because he got solo gold for that, and he's got a lot of kills on him, but for the most part, aside from Tendungi in the mid lane, he's got a little bit of a gold lead himself. Pretty even here between the other players.
It looks like
the battle between the Johnson
so while they were working around with that dragon to secure that vision, it looks like Wisconsin took the initiative to take down that mid lane tier 1. But I'm actually have a fight breaking out though in this top lane.
Yeah, it looks like the Slicing Maelstrom won't really find a whole lot there, but a trade of, not quite a trade of ultimates, but yeah, Mike using his ultimate to at least do a little bit of damage to ZN Delta while he defends his topside turret. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, continued push from Chicago. Looks like the Johnson coming in here to help Mike take out this turret, but Mike does not have a Slicing Maelstrom available to do too much. But between the two of them, they should be able to take this turret, no problem. There is...
And it looks like Delta's going in.
Yeah, ZN Delta running backwards, has to flash away. There's the flash from Mike as well, followed by the Impale going on to the Johnson. Alright, he ends up being taken down by I Love Thighs. There is the Glacial Fissure coming out, finding Mike. There in the end, that will be 2 for nothing, except a turret for University of Chicago.
I don't know if he intentionally meant to bait that out, but that was a pretty good bait by ZN Delta.
Yeah, Wisconsin bit off just a little bit more than they could chew on that one, and they paid the price. 5-man gank top lane, and unfortunately, lanes mid or bot were pushing hard enough to make it a worthy play on the side of Wisconsin.
And it's funny because
that
even though they have
back
plays like that, they've still maintained a gold lead. About 3,000 gold for the side of... Oh, never mind, I'm looking at gold all wrong. Never mind, guys. Continue.
Yep, UIC is definitely starting to pillage ahead with 13-6, about 3,000 gold lead and up to dragons. So luckily there is a decent amount of standing gold, but we do have that karma going down, immediately deleted by the snake in the bush. It is, I believe, the deadliest snake is the unseen snake.
Yeah, not quite the mongoose. Imperial Trinity ends up falling pretty fast. That means Doomsday doesn't have the Petrifying Gaze up just yet, but they're gonna go ahead and back. It should be up there next team fight. So I don't think he's too worried about that. Meanwhile, I mean, ZN Delta is doing a fantastic job of shoving out this bot side, making a little bit of room for his team. Because they're looking for this Baron. And so they're trying to prep the map for that. It looks like they're doing pretty well.
Yep, teleport is not yet up for the Kennen, so they're going to have to make sure that Mike does know that he will not be able to get there in time. I'm curious to know if UIC knows that is not available. Wisconsin does grab some of that guaranteed vision with the Scuddler, and they have finished those 2 items on the Varus, those 2 critical items, but also the Seraph's Embrace has been finished for Doomgi on that Cassiopeia, so we'll see what happens now that she has that extra defense in that shield.
Ooh, on the top lane, though, we have ZN Delta getting into a bit of a fight. Going back to the mid lane, though, a little more action. The Glacial Fissure comes out, it ends up finding Emerald Plastic. Meanwhile, in the top lane, ZN Delta's having a little bit of trouble. Mike will end up taking that kill for himself, though. Looks like ZN Delta's still running for blood, and that is a pause.
Skarner has DC'd.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I guess no better place to pause. That fight, we can finally mourn our lost members. R.I.P. ZN Delta. Your scary zombie form will continue running throughout the rift and causing terror for the rest of eternity.
So let's take stock of what happened in that last fight that just went on in that mid lane. So you had Predator procced by I Love Thighs. You had a little bit of dueling going on with Tadungi and Where's Osama. And then you just had them jumping in on Emerald Plastic. Unfortunately, the Chains of Corruption weren't even used, and the Flash was not available. So it was just an easy kill for them to pick up there and then just push through everyone else, not having the damage to mash that Cassiopeia really far ahead. And it looks like Mike will get away from the undead Scion, but that mid lane tower will be going down.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring up too, coming back to Mike, it looks like after he finished that Blade of the Ruined King, he is opting for the Proto Belt and now Sork Shoes, so he's going a bit hybrid build, so he could probably fit in those auto attacks in between his abilities, because on Kennen, once you've gone in for that big ult, then you're kind of just sitting there because all your abilities are on cooldown, so maybe that's why he bought the blade, but to ask him.
Yeah, the percent health definitely helps. I feel like that might just be for more of the laning phase, since you could even go with a Leandri's Torment or a Morel Namicon to get a little bit more of that Grievous Wound and that percent health damage, but that is the build that he has chosen, and we're going to see how that pays off right now. It does look like they're getting pretty tanky, though, on the side of Wisconsin. You've got the Locket completed. On the side of Chicago, you do have the Locket completed for Teddy Eddy. You've got the Seraph's Embrace and the Seeker's Arm Guard on the side of Tadungi. The Warmogs on I Love Thighs, and the Abyssal Mask and Righteous Glory completed on ZN Delta.
And going back to this Tenant build for Mike, I mean, it's been paying off for him fairly well throughout the course of the game. I mean, even if he does end up, because he could always decide to go with the Leandri's Torment later, because you still have the percent health damage on his abilities. But I think, I mean, like, the big thing is that he wanted that, you're right, that early dueling potential. So
I think it's just mostly for Scion, so because Scion's just a huge heavy HP tank, and he can just kind of bully him with those auto attacks and sustain up from that Scion
the top side is in trouble. Deathmark comes through, flashes away to Tungi, still trying to get out, but it looks like the pop will be too much as the snake ends up getting squashed here by the ninja and the barbarian. Now looks like the Johnson trying to get out of there as fast as he can. Oh, and here on the bot side, ZN Delta gonna go ahead and use the Unstoppable Onslaught to get in on Mike. Oh, flash away from Mike, and the Proto Belt will end up getting him away to safety, but that was a lot of damage coming through for ZN Delta there.
And Wisconsin does have the inside track on that dragon, so that's going to spawn here in right about now, so they can go ahead and they can grab that Cloud Drake. That movement speed might be killer for them. However, it looks like UIC is posturing around that Baron, looking like they might take that. We'll see if Wisconsin has enough time to react, or if they'll just get that away for free.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken a lot of damage, but and Wisconsin isn't reacting very fast at all to this Baron take. This is going to be able to be
I think they're going to get
no
a clean.
problem for Chicago.
Yep, that double Mountain Drake paying off its dividends there. They do end up getting...
Brilliant. Ooh, the Johnson.
The Ragnarok is Buffalo Johnson jumping in on Iron Sound, but then jumping away.
There we go. All right, well, there's the ultimate. The flash forward from Osama tries to take out Defisti1. The death mark coming through nearly takes out Osama as well, but he out a little. That is great trade for the side of Chicago. They'll be able to push forward now with this Baron buff. We'll see what they can do with it. That was a really good play, actually. Risky play from Where's Osama.
Absolutely, and they do have the Raptor's Cloak on the side of UIC on ZN Delta, so it looks like he will be going for that Banner of Command here to use on most likely the next Baron when it comes up. The siege is breaking out here, but they are trying to put up the defense there on the side of Wisconsin, coming in from ZN Delta. Slicing Maelstrom, putting in I Love Thighs. Just enough damage coming in from the side of the cannon, but they are paying the price with the Scion jumping in there.
Yep, flashes. There's plastic going down. ZN Delta trying to ward off Imperial Trinity on the side here. Teddy Eddy and Tadungi are the only ones left mid lane. All three members that are left still have that Baron buff, so they can continue this onslaught here on the bot side. Looks like ZN Delta soon will be ending.
And with all the chaos, Osama's also collecting a blue and shoving top with those banner creeps.
Tadungi being able to ward off so much just with his W is brilliant. The Miasma being able to be such a large area of effect spell with that much utility. Oh, there's the death mark yet again. Alright, popping on Tadungi, won't end up finding anything. Yeah, it looks like Wisconsin's just going to go ahead and back off.
Yet the power of the Iron Locket of Solari coming from the 0010 Braum is just way too much. Barely took any damage from the death mark.
I mean, you pop that shield, use the stand behind me, like, and it's difficult to actually get through. So, I mean, between Unbreakable and Stand Behind Me, with all the skill shots that Wisconsin is throwing right now, it's difficult for them to be able to get through that. And then you've got the locket as well. It's just if they're gonna get an engage, they have to find it. They have to pop them quickly, and they have to get out.
Yeah, and you see here
the 2 carries on the side of Chicago have armor from Iceborns and Hourglass. Stand behind me, or at least the leap gives armor and magic resist, so it's really difficult to burn through just the armor and magic resist.
The Johnson, looks like Ragnarok coming out as well. There is the Petrifying Gaze. Will end up finding 2 people. Both will end up being taken down by I Love Thighs, who will crush them between his mighty legs.
Yep, the claws of Skarner are definitely some pretty tight ones, and that might be the last straw that breaks that camel's back. That is Wisconsin right now. The Badgers are trying to fight back right now. We'll see what they do. Ping's going down. They will most definitely get this first tower. Baron is about to time out though, so they may not be able to get any more push on that. Where is Osama taking down to about half HP, but thanks to that play, the Rune King heals up pretty quickly.
They'll also have to be careful behind them because the Johnson is looking for a flank, collecting the lobster, collecting this red buff, whereas Osama can stay on the turret. But, oh, wow. Alright, might get a little bit close for comfort there.
We'll see what happens here. The vision has gone out for the side of UIC, so the jungle is dark once again, so we'll see if they jump on in to try to finish off anyone here. It looks like we do have Olaf coming in from behind. He procs that Predator. Coming in, but the Iron Locket is popped, jumping in on I Am Osama.
And
jumping in as well.
Yeah, and there we go. On the backside, still fighting for his life. Looks like Where's Osama picks off Defisty one. Followed up by, on the front line, we also had Xian Delta picking up getting killed by Emerald Plastic. So it is now 4v4 here. 4v3 for Chicago. Will they be able to clean it up here, though? Oh, Tadungi doing his part to put a lot of damage down here on this Wisconsin team. The Johnson now, he's not giving this up without a fight, though. There's the Impale going on to the Johnson. No Ragnarok available to stop that one from coming through. He'll end up going down. Tadungi dropping very low, ends up going golden, trying to protect himself. The final auto attack from Emerald Plastic won't do anything to secure a kill, but now they have actually managed to rescue their towers. Oh, spoke too soon.
Oh man, jumping on in though, the slicing maelstrom like a triple kill. Holy crap, the big plays coming back there. However, they are down 2 inhibitors and all Nexus towers are down. However, that next dragon is coming up in about 18 seconds. And it looks like that's going to be Wisconsin's to take, and maybe they'll be able to push out for a little bit more while these inhibitors are down.
So that last fight is a perfect example of what we were talking about in the during Champ Select, when we were talking about their team comps and what they might be trying to accomplish. So the Johnson with the Olaf runs into the back line with the Ragnarok, and like we were talking about, just get picked off. Since there's really no major follow-up available with him, there's really not a whole lot of members except Defisty one that can really get into that backline and help pick off one member.
Kind of want to add to that real quick. What you're saying, Xian Delta had a really nice play in that fight for the bottom inhib before pretty much their entire base got taken. During the fight where Johnson popped Ragnarok and ran into the team with Predator, the reason why Mike couldn't really follow up with the Johnson was because Delta kind of suicided into 4 people to stop Mike from having any impact on the fight. So yeah. Delta really putting himself in there to prevent Mike from getting any big plays was a really good sacrificial lamb move for Chicago.
The mid inhibitor has respawned, and they are pinging around the Baron that is going live now. A lot of Chicago wards in the blue side of Wisconsin jungle, and they're just going to melt this thing down. You've got Cassiopeia, you've got Ezreal, and you've got 2 Mountain Drakes. That Baron is gone.
They made that thing look like a gummy.
Gonna try for a pick right here.
And they've got 2 banners of the command on the side of
the Johnson.
UIC. They're jumping in on.
Osama is in
Where's
trouble.
Osama?
All right,
But
it looks like where's Osama
unfortunately-
having to kite backwards. Looks like the Johnson though pops the Ragnarok, trying to get out. Now is forced to run towards Chicago's base. He's not making this out alive. Bye-bye, the Johnson. ZN Delta picking up a team there. That pick not exactly going as planned for the Johnson.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to force down this last tower. They could be going for that mid lane inhibitor, but it looks like they want to try to get that more pressing push for them of trying to utilize this Baron to finish the last tower. They feel they can go grab that inhib at any time. However, Wisconsin does respond by grabbing that inner tower in the mid lane and pushing out that bottom lane to prevent as many super minions from coming in there.
No, I also like how slow that Chicago is playing this game. They know that they don't have to be the ones rushing into these fights. They have the availability, of course, but they're not exactly trying to force their way. Oh, speaking of which, I love thighs. Rustin, Blasky, and Kale, but the sort of dash will end up ending that from happening. Oh, it looks like a lot of carnage. Mike comes in. That is 2 kills going over for Wisconsin. Meanwhile, though, Chicago, with all their tanks, ends up signing death warrants for 3 members of Wisconsin. That does not look good, and this will actually be game for Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely. Wisconsin got the fight that they wanted. They got what they were looking for, but it was just too little too late.